Friends, it is Saturday night. It is a different night again. We'll get this whole schedule set up at some point, but it's Saturday night at the end of the month, which means it's time to join our patrons for a chat. And I'm your host, Tom or Robots. This is the Fallout Lorecast. My co-host Lainey is wrapping up her work day today and will hopefully be joining us at some point as we go. And so I am here with some of our patrons, some of our tier 4 or higher patrons, and let's just go down the list and welcome everybody. Lord Stefan Darkvein, or as otherwise you might know him as Pie Man, our our large robot friend. How's it going?
Yes, it's been a while since I've made those memes.
Yes, he is still our tier 6 patron, and very, very much appreciated. Welcome to the show. How's your truck driving going? How's life on the road?
Good. I got a new truck.
Yeah, so. I saw. You got like this truck upgrade. You were like, old truck, new truck.
Yeah,
that's nice.
Always good that way.
Pretty sweet, dude. And then we also have Nighttime Smith joining us. Nighttime, what's going on, buddy?
Oh, that's going pretty good. Glad to do the show.
Yeah.
And
I see you're in your Vault-Tec security garb.
Yes, I'm ready to protect the vault. So
well, good.
It's gonna be pretty hairy, probably. There's been some rumors about certain experiments that have been going on. So, I'm just getting ready for it.
Yeah, well, depending on what you guys decide about our topic tonight, we might need some of your security. And then we also have Top Shelf Selly. I was like, I'm not going to mispronounce this. I did mispronounce it. Top Shelf, welcome to the show. How's it going?
Oh, it's going good. I know that one always gives you trouble. I'll try to see if I can maybe workshop that name.
It's partly just, doing a live show and just reading things on the fly. It's partly thinking about like 10 things that I'm juggling as I'm introducing the show at the same time. But then it's also part, I just ate a medium Oreo Blizzard, which is not the best thing to eat before you're about to talk into a microphone on a recording for an hour, because like milk products make your mouth like, they do that, thing when your mouth just gets, it's just not good. It's just not good for audio, but I'll get through it. So guys, we are together today to talk about vaults. The conversation came up in the Discord this month around the different vaults. And of course, that's part of the series for this show. I've covered almost all of them. There's a few that I skipped, but almost all of the vaults. And the conversation moved in the direction of what if you were to run a vault? What if you were the overseer? Which one would you be in charge of? And I think this is an interesting question. And some of us have debated this a little bit. We haven't gotten into too much because you don't want to do the show before you do the show, right? You don't want to spoil the conversation before it happens. But there's the question of like, well, can I choose a vault that I would go against the rules on? And the concept here is it has to be a vault where if you were the overseer, you would be signing up with some understanding about what was going on and a willingness to be the person in charge. Now, as more gets revealed, once the situation unfolds, you might not go with the full plan. So, for example, let's use Vault 111, right? Now, the people going into Vault 111 wouldn't know necessarily, or they didn't know, as we know from Fallout 4, that they were going to be cryogenically frozen. They did not know that that's what they were signing up for. They just knew that they would have a vault to go hide from the bombs in. The Overseer knew that cryogenics was going to be involved, right? Now, maybe the Overseer wasn't able to foresee the other things that were going to happen once that occurred and how things kind of came to be. So maybe they wouldn't necessarily stick with the plan the whole way through, but at least you would have had to be the kind of person who was okay with cryogenics and testing these on people, and maybe them not even being aware of it, because you would have been the Overseer moving into that situation, right? Does that make sense? I'm getting some nods here. Nods work really well on audio. Unless your head's jangly. If you've got like a really jangly head, then that'll work really, really well. So who would like to go first? I know you guys have been thinking about this a little bit. Any volunteers? Anyone? Top Shelf, do you want to go first? I know you have some thoughts on this.
Yeah, I'll go first. So I've kind of been torn about this because, like you were mentioning, like, what experiment am I okay kind of ruining people's lives with?
Yeah. Okay.
And
yes, and well, but maybe not, because, for example, like the 111 example, they may not have known that they were going to be cryogenically frozen, but you might believe that that was the best option for them. Right? You might go, oh,
sure,
the world's going to be destroyed. Why don't we just cryogenically freeze them and put them into the future 100 years where maybe things have the Earth has healed a little bit, and then they'll be able to go back into the world and things will be better. Like, you could have that view, right? Whether they like it or not, this is probably what's best for them. So let's just do it.
Yeah, for sure. So with that in mind, I'm actually going to do Vault 11, which on the surface is very dark because of the way it's played out.
Okay, so
basically the experiment...
For anybody who doesn't remember, go ahead and explain the experiment.
So the experiment from Vault 11 basically is you are testing people's willingness to sacrifice themselves. Mm-hmm. And the way that is done is basically the Vault has a computer that says you have to every year sacrifice one Vault resident. So it's all about determining who that one person is going to be. Right.
And this is the one that you would choose.
Yes, because I think you could spin it to where sacrifice isn't necessarily the literal definition where you don't wind up killing somebody, because that causes problems, hence how we see it in the Fallout games, where they basically sabotage each other to try to kill other people because they don't want to die. Which, fair, if you're going to die, I don't really want to die, so
yeah,
you do it.
Sure, yeah.
But I figure you could turn it into you're sacrificing your time and you become the overseer by basically going, okay, I'm going to take the mantle of responsibility for making sure everything is running smooth. I basically like a frontline leader kind of thing where it's not like, oh, I'm up here and I'm in the cushy stuff. No, you actually have to do every single job and help the people below you. So you're sacrificing your kind of autonomy almost.
Okay, so your sacrifice is service. You are serving. You are a servant to that community, and that's your sacrifice, is your servitude to them, and your shouldering the burden of responsibility.
Yes.
Okay.
And a year of that would be exhausting, I can imagine. Every single day having to do somebody else's job. Say somebody gets sick, you are now working in the reactor. Say there's a water leak, you are now a plumber.
Right.
Just how it works.
No days off.
No days off.
Right. You call it all hours. You're just responsible for everything. Okay. So wait. So So that's better than dying. But if you were the leader of this vault, then you would, I assume, would be the first person to have to serve this role for a year.
Yes.
So you would be willing to put yourself in that situation, to be a servant to the people, a slave in a way to everyone else in the vault for a year to make sure that things go to plan, and until that mantle is now passed to somebody else.
Yes. And it seems weird that I would be okay with that, but I think everybody's worked a job where you had a manager that would not help out.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And that's the most annoying thing. It's like,
yes.
Cool, we're shorthanded, but you're not going to help out because you think you're a manager, so you don't have to do it.
Right.
If you have somebody who's willing to jump in, who's in charge, and will do the job with you, you're going to follow that person further than somebody who just, whips and just says,
sure. Yeah, for sure. Like somebody who leads by example is way more respected than somebody who sits back and just gives orders, because it's so much more respectable. Pieman, you raised your hand. Did you want to chime in? Yeah, go ahead. Unmuting.
So going along with that manager sort of thing, I have more, because I used to, before going into truck driving, I worked a retail job, 2 retail jobs.
Right.
The first manager that I ever worked for, he didn't do jack diddly squat.
Right.
And I lost all respect for him. Everything. everything. It sort of goes along with what Top Shelf said and what you said. This has some real world application to it. And with my second retail job, my manager would jump in when me personally or one of my other coworkers couldn't get the job done because they were doing something like productive or anything, so they would jump in and help out, and I had more respect for that manager than I did my first one.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think a lot of us have
follow and listen to him.
Yeah, I think a lot of us have been in that situation where somebody who a leader who can show that they can do what they say and are willing to take on that burden shows a level of responsibility. It shows a care for the organization, for the needs of others. A good leader is always willing to give more than they ask in return. And I think that's truly a way to, build, respect among the other people around you. So if your plan goes well, then you would enter this vault. You would take on this mantle of overseer, who is now a servant of the people. You'll do your best for that year. Hopefully everybody is nice and they see the job that you're doing and the sacrifice that you're making. And by the end of the year, you've gained respect among them. The mantle has now moved to somebody else. And now your life gets a lot better for the rest of your time in the vault, unless you, of course, get voted overseer again.
Yes. And something to address, because I just thought about it. So the way that in the game they address the end of your term is you go into basically a kill room full of robots and turrets and all that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. First thing I would do is I would be like, hey, security team, we're going to go shut all that stuff down. And so at the end of that, you'd still go into that room and it basically would play the same slide where it's like, hey, you sacrificed your time. Congratulations. Thank you for being such an exemplary person. And then after that, you're kind of an advisor to everybody and you're respected and you know a lot of things and you can kind of choose your post. So let's say you found you're proficient at working in hydroponics. Okay, now you can go help grow food. You can become a doctor if you found, I'm good at medicine, something like that. It's a way for you to get good graces with every single person in the vault and make yourself kind of uncomfortable. You learn different traits and you're now an invaluable member of the vault, not just somebody who's going to sit there and do nothing.
I can see that this would be a very noble thing. I can also see some holes or potential flaws in that the overseer who comes after you decides, hell no, I'm not going to do that. We're going to reinstate the kill thing. And then they murder you. No, but of course that could cause a rift among the rest of the vault, because you're going to have a lot of respect among some of them and then some of them maybe not. So this could totally go down in ways that are get dark, but at the same time, it may work out really great for you because now you have this situation. The other potential hole I see here is what if they decide to not, there's no rule in the original system. It's decided that a previous overseer dies. So there's no rule that an overseer can't serve twice because there doesn't need to be. So what if they're like, you were so good at that and they just keep voting you back into the role?
I kind of look at it where you're the overseer. If you're number one, you get to kind of that rule. Set the rules.
Right.
So it's like,
I don't have to serve anymore. I'm done. You can only serve one term.
Yeah, it's like one and done. It's like the United States president. Okay, you could serve 2 terms. After that, you're done. No more.
Yeah,
no more.
Term limit. Yeah. After that, you're done.
That's kind of where I was thinking. And on the first one, they could try to do that. But the whole point of that vault is it's democratically elected. Mm-hmm. You can absolutely remove somebody if they start doing stuff you don't like.
Yeah, totally.
I believe they actually did that with the last overseer. They removed her because she was attempting to get rid of the fact that it's voted and it was going to become random. Yeah. And they went to remove her, and that's what caused the vault to fail.
Right.
So
interesting. That's an interesting dynamic on the whole thing. Do you guys have any other thoughts on this? Would you be willing to take on this kind of role, or what do you think? Nighttime?
It's kind of interesting. The whole dynamic of it. I mean, it's easy to trick people into this fear state to where they follow these orders like, well, if we just let one person die, we can all be saved. So, I mean, you're growing up in that type of situation where, this happens over and over and over again. And then, 200 years or maybe 100 years later, they decide to stop it. It took somebody... It would have taken somebody with a lot of moral fortitude to be able to say, I'm not going to cross this line, and it doesn't matter that all the vault residents are going to die because of my decision. Mm-hmm. So it makes sense that the way it happened in the game, that it took, a civil war inside the vault, for lack of a better term, to get to the point where there was only 5 people left, and then they realized, oh, we didn't have to kill anybody. And then if you listen to the audio logs, you hear a gunshot, 4 people die, and then the person drops the gun and walks out, and then end of the story.
Yeah, and who were they and where did they go and are they still around? Yeah. It's a really cool vault. It's one of those Las Vegas vaults, and a lot of those have some really good stories to them. So, or New Vegas vaults, I guess I should say, in Las Vegas originally, but then New Vegas. All right. Any last thoughts, Top Shelf, on this one? I think you found kind of a potential loophole here, but I don't think it's free of danger.
No, and I mean, you're dealing with human beings. That's kind of inherent in everything. I mean, even a control vault, all it takes is one person being like, and now it's no longer controlled. Right. Right. So I think the cool thing would be, because I don't quite know, and I was discussing this before the show, I don't quite know how the I'm not going to kill somebody aspect works with the vault door. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure if it's an automatic open, because if it is, that kind of creates a whole other problem where it's like, oh, you've been underground for a year and now the vault door is open, letting in all the radiation. Sure. But if it just creates the ability to open the door, now you set it up for other overseers to go, it's been enough time, we can go out and explore, and that could be, like 76. You could start civilization over again sooner than 101 was trying to do, or some of those vaults that stayed closed for hundreds of years. Right. What's interesting is, and I've addressed this on early episodes of the podcast, that radiation doesn't take that long to reach background levels in an environment. Even in the situation of something like that would have happened in Fallout, like an area that got dropped a bunch of nukes on it, still doesn't take hundreds of years for that to go away. The natural processes of the earth, rainfall, the movement of air, even the way that the ground erodes and wind and those kinds of things will disperse that over maybe dozens of years at the most. So this idea that like the world would still be irradiated is kind of part of the fiction. So in a real world situation like this, I'm sure that they would have the ability to do the math and say, like, if this is the scale of the conflict, then we would need to stay underground for this many years to feel safe returning to the surface. But we don't have that in the Fallout games. It's this like mystery, and then the world is just terrible. I guess the other potential situation here is that there were enough bombs dropped across the entire planet that threw the world into a nuclear winter, and there's enough radiation across the planet that there's nowhere else for the radiation to go. So the atmosphere is just inherently radioactive at that point. But then again, I don't know that makes sense scientifically.
Well, they said that the Fallout universe, it did the exact opposite. It went into some type of nuclear summer. But like, I've read up on this because I'm kind of interested in like the whole 1950s era stuff. Mm-hmm. What could attribute to a lot of the amount of radioactive material that's in the Fallout universe, everything in this universe is nuclear power. Cars had fusion drives. You had everything. And even one of the biggest things about it is that the amount of incompetence when it related to the disposal of radioactive nuclear waste, that you had all these nuclear power plants that weren't functioning anymore. Well, I mean, not occupied, so they weren't being taken care of, and they leaked radiation. You had radiation barrels all over the place. All this stuff will contaminate everything. It's not like any of this stuff was properly locked down in these deep mines like they're supposed to. And then on top of that, the bombs that were used by the Chinese and the United States were yields that were around, I want to say 50 to 250 kiloton, which is very low yield. The problem with low yield nuclear weapons is that they're not hydrogen bombs, so you're not using an atomic trigger to detonate a fusion reactor. You're actually just using like large chunks of uranium or plutonium. And when you do that, if you have that critical mass, 9 pounds. Well, you saw what happened. That stuff, it goes everywhere because you're only converting 2% of that mass into energy, so that rest of that mass is spread all across the area. And then it also, with the nuclear particles, contaminates other types of things. A lot of people don't know, if you take a radioactive isotope like uranium or plutonium, it'll actually, the particles that come off it will irradiate other heavy elements and then make those radioactive. So it'll actually make lead radioactive.
Interesting. Yeah, and they have such a long half-life that they would sit around forever.
And when you get a nuclear weapon, the uranium or the plutonium, they split into constituents. And those are those that don't last that long. I think it's strontium-90, and then I can't remember the other one. It's the one that acts like iodine. That's why they tell you to take iodine tablets after nuclear fallout. Gotcha.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. So, yeah, I guess that is a little bit more complex. I think in the sum of it all, we wouldn't really know for sure, but it's dangerous. It's clearly a dangerous thing. Nighttime, do you have a vault that you would want to run?
Yes, Vault 34. Sorry, I had to read some stuff.
Oh, sure, sure.
Just run through some questions because I'm not really sure. Just lead me.
So let's go ahead and explain Vault 34 to people, because I don't always remember by the number which one they are.
Yeah.
So
Vault 34 was one of the vaults that's just outside New Vegas. It's associated with a couple of quests, but it was one of the vaults that were overpopulated on purpose, and they sacrificed a lot of the living space for luxury items like with swimming pools and stuff like that. The issue was that they had high crime because you just had too many people packed into a too little area and there wasn't enough resources, and they had overstocked the armory on purpose.
Yeah, this is the vault with the boomers.
Yes.
Yeah, this is the one we've been addressing over the last month with some of the New Vegas episodes we've been doing. Okay, so why specifically this one would you want to be in charge of?
I think it's an interesting experiment. It's not necessarily nefarious. I think it's more of a social commentary on certain aspects of American culture, especially city dwellers and whatnot. Mm-hmm. What is interesting is that it was a very effective vault for quite a long time. I think they said by 2281 it was still active and functioning. You had the boomer descendants. They left somewhere, I think 100 or maybe 150 years after the vault first sealed up. Mm-hmm. And then they founded their own community that was, very, very strange, a very strange community.
So do you feel like this would be an easy job?
Probably not the easiest job, but seems to be the most interesting. I mean, you're just basically running a town that's just centered on firearms and weapons. So I'm a gunsmith, so this would be kind of interesting for me.
Yeah, it matches your topic. You're like the topics you're interested in. So that totally makes sense to me for sure. But at the same time, everybody has the potential to be armed, and you also have this group that left and became the boomers. So there are inherently some people in here who are a little bit more violently minded and unhappy.
It seems like what the issue was is that the overseer would not allow access to even like simple weapons for self-defense. Mm-hmm. Obviously, enclosed areas and stuff, and because if you've played through Fallout 3 and you've seen what's happened to the other vaults, and especially when you go to Fallout, you leave 101 and then you come back to 101, and it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
You're always worried about that. That you get too many people that have too much individual power over other people. It gets kind of scary.
Unbalanced systems with a unbalance of power are often the a catalyst to strife, to human suffering. That's almost every case. Like if you look at every major revolution in the world where the population has pushed back against the leadership, the lifestyle distance, like the amount that the average person has compared to the people at the top of the chain is generally very, very far apart. And this is one of those topics I find really interesting. So I've read a little bit about this. One of the worst examples of this was during the French Revolution, where the distance between the aristocracy, the ruling class, and the average French citizen were so far apart that it led to revolution. That's part of why the masses decided to fight back. What's also interesting about this is that in the United States today, we're even more stratified than that moment in history, which is scary because think about it. Like we no longer live in a society where a single hardworking blue collar worker, average American, somebody who can work in a factory or farm a field or, do these like necessary required jobs for society to move forward, right? The kinds of jobs, drive a truck, the kinds of jobs that you just need people to do. That person cannot make enough money to pay for a house for a family to live in, for food and insurance and power and live, health needs. That can no longer happen. The 1950s and 1960s, we lived in a society where you could have a single breadwinner provide for an entire family of 4 or 5 and still have money to go on vacation and help their kids with college, like those kinds of things. And they would have been working these like blue collar jobs at the time. We don't live in that society anymore. And on top of that, the top money earners in our country make way more than the top 1% ever made compared to the rest of society. And that stratification is more than it is or was during the French Revolution. But we live in a time where things are different. The internet is a thing. Information is a thing. There's a lot of, control of information, misinformation, all of that stuff. So it's a really tricky topic, So in your situation, let's go back to your vault. You have a situation where things were stratified, and so therefore it created a problem. Is the solution then to give everybody access to weapons?
It seemed like that was the whole reason there was the riot. They just wanted guns, and it got to the point where they just didn't want to be a part of the vault anymore. Mm-hmm. So I guess you're saying if I was the vault overseer during this time, what would my decision be? Yeah. My decision, if you want to leave, you should be able to leave. I mean, if it was 100 or so years, I guess the reasoning wasn't really talked about as to why the overseer didn't want them to leave. Maybe because the problem is if you have a vault that's completely, it's overpopulated. The natural thing was like, okay, well, a lot of these vaults really just come to the fact that they tried to stay locked up for as long as they did, when they should have gone out and started trying to build something like Vault 8 did, which was the Vault City in Fallout 2.
Right. That's expanding outside the vault, using the vault as part of like the seed for a community that grows then out from the vault. Yeah, it just that makes sense. Now I get the fear of like the unknown, the things that are out there in the wasteland, the radiation, the monsters. Like I get that. Like I totally get that. But I think you're right. Dictating for other adults what they can and can't do when it came to something like on that scale. It's one thing to say like, these are the laws. You can't steal from each other. You can't murder each other. Everybody has to put in their 9 to 5. Everybody has to provide for the community. We all are in this together. Like that all totally makes sense because it benefits everyone. But to tell somebody, and you're not allowed to leave, shouldn't that be on the individual? And shouldn't you as the overseer be creating an environment in the vault that is or responsible for creating an environment in the vault that is the kind of place that if they leave and they go, man, I had it really good in there, that they would come back, like that they would choose to be part of it, that they don't have to be forced to be part of it. That makes sense to me.
What happened with Vault 13. you had 4 different diverse factions that left the vault and went their own way. Now, 3 out of the 4 decided to become different types of raider clans.
Yeah.
The Vipers, most interestingly, would worship snakes and vipers as a part of an ancient pagan religion. But then you had Shady Sands that became the seed of the old world nation state.
Yeah. And it makes sense. Like, some people just want to do a thing for themselves. They just want they want their own land. They want to make their own rules. And that's totally fine. And if those people leave and they don't come back, then, as some people would say, God bless them. Let them go do their thing. Hopefully they're successful, right? Maybe they build a community. Maybe they build a trading post. Maybe they build something that helps, reinstate Jaylani in chat says America. But honestly, like, genuinely, like, maybe they create something that helps bring back the country because they're good, hard working folk that just want to, plant their stake in the ground and make something. And that's great. But there's a lot of people who would like head out into that world and go, oh God, this place is terrifying. I'm going to go back in the vault.
But it's like, that's pretty much distilled down with the Republic of Dave. If you keep him as the president, he rules over this, like, just a little square of junkyard. And if you oust him, he's like, well, screw you. I'm going to make another town and I'm going to make my way in the wastes again. And then it's like, okay, bye.
Yeah. Okay. Bye. Interesting. So how do you, I guess to extrapolate this out, let's say you end up in a situation where the vault is unhappy for reasons beyond your control. Mm-hmm. And you've now armed the entire vault. How do you manage that?
What are they mad about, though?
I don't know. Maybe they're mad. Maybe you just have some troublemakers in the group who think they're not being treated fairly, even though they are, right? Who are vying for power. They're trying to create dissent because they want to oust you and they want to be the ones in charge. Something as simple as that.
Okay. I guess the only thing you can do is leave it up to a democratic process. I mean, if it's to the point where something's got to be done, and if it's not done, then things are going to end really poorly. Mm-hmm. I mean, you have the option. You could always step down. You could say, okay, well, we're going to have a new election. And he goes, and I'm going to step down, and I'm not going to be a part of the choice.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, it could be dangerous for you, but that's fair. What if you instated dueling? So everybody has a sidearm. And, you're like, all right, you got a problem with me. Let's, like Jaylani said in chat, we'll deal with this outside. We're going to step outside at noon, take 10 paces and draw. And whoever's left standing gets to be the leader.
I think the problem with that is that I think everybody would be quite well competent with firearms, and I think we would both die with several bullet holes.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. That would just lead to everybody dying.
We could do a shooting competition. We could do like a complicated shooting course, and then see who scores the best out of 5 runs, and whoever does, they're the best at the best, and hopefully they can make competent decisions. Right,
like it's back to the whole like we'll just make the better warrior the leader, because being a warrior is completely the same thing as making good decisions for large groups of people. It's not
holding a gun still and pulling the trigger. It makes you the best warrior.
Right. It makes you the best warrior. There you go. Oh man. Yeah, that's
what I would do a shooting competition. See who would win.
Okay.
Because the dueling doesn't, we're not shooting single shot firearms anymore, or swords.
Oh yeah, but what if you were? What if you only got to load in 1 bullet?
I mean, it's very counterproductive, to be honest.
It is. I just wanted to throw it out because I'm not, just because I asked a question doesn't mean I'm suggesting it's the right answer. It's just kind of fun to think about, like, taking that theme and working it out into that direction. Yeah, that's, oh man, interesting stuff. Any other thoughts on that? Do you guys have any thoughts on this? Would you be up for running a vault full of firearms? Pie Man's like, I'll just run him over with my truck. So.
Yeah. Just bring my big old truck through that vault door. There's a garage somewhere.
It'll fit, right?
It we'll make it fit. Might have to get rid of a couple things in here, but we'll make it fit. Well, anyway, I wouldn't mind if that voice that vault was my I was assigned that vault, I wouldn't mind it. It wouldn't be my first choice because of all the weapons. It's not like I'm incompetent with firearms. The firearms and me just don't mesh.
Yeah, you're just not into them. Okay. Fair enough.
They really just don't mesh, and if they get upset about it, I'll give them a firearm. Doesn't mean I'm going to give them ammo for it.
Well, they might get upset about that part too. All right.
Well, that doesn't mean they have to know about that. I didn't give them ammo. I may just give them a magazine with the shot in it.
I think they'll probably
2 bullets or something.
I think they'll probably check. I think that's one of those things that you kind of know pretty soon. They go to the firing range and go, why are these blanks? Or whatever. Top Shelf, what do you think? Would you run a vault full of firearms in a situation like that? How do you feel?
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't be totally against it. I think Nighttime mentioned this. You could also make it where it's like now you have a trained army. Like,
Oh yeah.
If you just basically go, okay, this group on Mondays, you're gonna practice from 1 to 2 with handguns. This group you're gonna practice with rifles. This group you're gonna practice with, because they have everything. Like, that's the other thing about 34 is it wasn't just like pistols and shotguns. It was like Gatling lasers, miniguns. They had access to basically everything. The other problem, which I don't... So, when the boomers left, what wound up happening with Vault 34 is the door never closed properly, and they all became irradiated and became ghouls.
Right, yeah, there is that part of it.
The door did not open, or... it didn't open again. It couldn't open again, but it also didn't seal properly. So it kind of became like a new version of, I think it's 12, which is the Necropolis or whatever. In Fallout 1 or 2. I can't remember.
Yep.
So that's the other problem is you would have to make it so the second you open that door, it was
the radiator was damaged, and that's what flooded.
Yeah, it was.
It wasn't the door.
Oh,
it was
really?
The radiator. Yeah.
I could have sworn it was the door wouldn't open again.
No, it said the vault dwellers left, and then the main exit was sealed, and the guards posted to prevent anyone from leaving. And then what happened was that everybody else stormed the armory, and then in that result, the reactor became damaged. I guess somebody had an air round with a missile launcher.
Yeah,
probably. Yeah, I could. I don't remember where I got that, but yeah, I could have sworn like it also wouldn't open once they had the problem with the radiator. It would not open again. It's easy to remember. It's easy to misremember. So many of the vaults are similar in certain ways, and they're different in others.
There's so many of them. It's not even funny.
Yeah, this is why I have to look back, and I have to be like, is that the one I remember to be that number or not? Because there's a bunch.
So, in short answer, yes, I would run it, but I would also make it where it's like regimented, where after a while, okay, you want to go ahead and leave? Sure, that's fine. Just you're kind of affiliated with us. You're going to help us get connection to the outside world. You can create a settlement we supply you with food, ammo, whatever you need, but you're kind of our ambassadors and you give us a hand instead of, no, you're not leaving, even though we have a overpopulation issue. So
you would define a role for people to choose that would allow them to also leave without fully breaking connections.
Yeah, and also, again, being trained going out where you're proficient with every sort of firearm with your armor and all that sort of stuff. So that way you're as equipped for the wasteland as you can be going out and going with that.
You've created an idea that has taken root in my brain. And I think I might have another solution for this vault, because there was overcrowding was the problem, right? But you also have lots of military equipment and things like that. So you could have a very, like you're saying, very trained group, not just in firearms and things like that, but also military coordination and squad maneuvers and these kinds of things, and personal fitness and all the things that you would need for a really highly trained army. This sounds like Sparta. And what the Spartans did in order to control overpopulation is that they took their children and left them out in the wilderness to see if they would survive among the wolves. And only the ones that survived got to grow up and become Spartans. So what if you, as the overseer, basically enact New Sparta, and in order to maintain a certain size population, you do something like you kick children out of the vault, and if they can make their way back, then they get to be part of the group. I don't know that this is a good idea, but it might be an effective idea.
See, you went Sparta. I was like, oh, National Guard. You now have a replacement for the National Guard because you have a well-trained militia. Or both.
Yeah, but think about it. Like, nobody would ever assault the vault, even though you're kicking kids out and people might find out where they came from. You have like the most well-equipped, well-trained army in the wasteland at that point. You know, like who in their right mind would knock on that door twice, like with plans to take your stuff from you? Like never, like absolutely never. Pieman's raising your hand. Pieman, you would knock on the door twice? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah. Yes, I would.
You would?
I would.
Just to say hi.
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 Ammo's really expensive out here. Can I get some ammo?
Yeah.
I'm looking for a Gatling laser. You guys got any? Yeah, go ahead. Top shelf.
Go along with that line. Hey, I know you said no the first time, but what about now? It's like,
hey, I'm going to take over your vault. Cool? No?
I don't believe you meant no the first time, so I'm asking again.
Oh man. All right. Well, that's a cool vault. Pieman, I think you're up, dude. What vault would you be in charge of?
So me as a truck driver, I didn't really have a lot of time to research, so
That's fine.
So I went with the one that I fell in love with, and I explored it a crap ton in the in Fallout 4 because I made my own little hideout there. Mm-hmm. It was funny. I'm talking about Vault 111. Is it 111? Yeah, it's 111.
The one that you go in at the beginning of the game.
Go in and maybe never come out. It's only by sheer luck you ever come out.
That's true, because everybody else got murdered and you didn't. Or at least didn't survive the cryostasis or whatever. So in the pre-show, you had mentioned that you have an interest in cryogenics.
Yeah. I've always been fascinated by how it how some people they do it so they can preserve their being to like be put in a robot or something. You know, like rich people that wanna preserve themselves. You know, like if they have I get sometimes, you know, like, oh, find a cure for cancer. Let's unfreeze this dude. Hopefully he comes back. I don't know.
Yeah, there are.
They want to put him in an android or something.
Right, there are companies today that you can have your body, or at least your head, frozen on death, with the hopes that it can remain frozen until a time in the future where you could be, I don't know, resurrected, brought back to life somehow, and things can cure you. So that is interesting. Like, would you? Okay, so if you're running the vault, would you be okay with the people entering the vault not necessarily knowing that that's what was going to happen to them?
Yes,
you would be okay with that?
At first, yes. Yeah. I would run the experiment as planned. Uh-huh. And then after so odd years, you know, after not hearing, like, I think in the overseer manual or something, in the thing when you're trying to get out, it's in the vault overseer's office, the computer. Mm-hmm. I spent almost hours looking through it with all the logs and everything. Holy cow! But you notice that they never get in all clear.
Yeah, well,
and the overseer the game.
Right. Go ahead.
In the game, they just went schedule as normal. You know, don't tell anybody anything like that. Well, after a couple, me personally, I have a sort of a good. I'd like to say I have a good moral compass. I'm well morally sound. I think so.
Okay.
So I would after not hearing for hundreds of years, I'd start unfreezing people.
Well,
Tell them what's up.
Unless you were ghoulified or something, I don't think that you would have been there a few hundred years later.
Unless something drastic happened, like the door blew up or something.
Right. Well, the situation with Vault 111 is that there was a revolt. The security personnel revolted against the leadership about a year after the vault closed. So you as the leader would have to deal with that revolt. What would you do to, and I guess the best way to deal with something like that is to make sure that they don't revolt in the first place. So what would you do to make sure that the security people and the people who are running this experiment are okay with it? Because it seems like they either weren't okay with it or wanted to get out or wanted to make their own rules, something like that.
I think at first, if I remember correctly, they were sort of okay with it, but then as time went on, it sort of deteriorated really fast.
Yeah.
When they realized what they were doing, what they could only supposed to keep the vault residents alive. They weren't supposed to do anything else to them.
Right.
And the vault security was supposed to make sure no one got out.
Right. And they were running out of supplies too. Was one of the issues. So in your situation, you probably would have needed to at least open the potential for some of you to be interacting with the outside world in order to resupply the vault so that there wasn't a revolt. My guess is if you as the overseer were able to put together like squads of people who could leave the vault, find supplies, bring them back, resupply the vaults, that the rest of them would probably be okay living there as a safe place, with the ability and the coordination and the support of the rest of the vault in order to maintain that. The people who were not frozen weren't very many. There weren't a lot of you, but it probably would have felt like a safe place.
I think it was supposed to be like a minimum staff.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it was a very small staff. So I guess if you were to coordinate it like that, then you probably could have stuck around for quite a while. Now, how many years would you have gone without getting an all clear before you decided to like unfreeze everybody and stop the experiment?
Maybe 4 or 5.
4 or 5 years. So not very long. In the scheme of things, right? All. Like not 25 years, like 76 or 100.
Yeah. Yeah, because you can only cryogenically freeze. I mean, you can do it. You can have them frozen for years and years and hundreds of years. But in this instance, you need the manpower since your staff is as it is.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That would help to have these people around to actually help you out. And I bet a lot of them would rather be awake than not, because they didn't choose it. But now you're also dealing with people who were cryogenically frozen against their will, who are now waking up and probably not happy about it.
Yeah, they're not happy about that.
You're going to have to deal with that as well. So it seems kind of a complex situation to navigate.
Yeah, there's a lot of complex situations that I as the overseer would have to deal with. Yeah. Really? But at that point, I'd probably have to cross that bridge when I got to that point.
Yeah.
At that point, I'd probably have to take it one step at a time, really.
Yeah, I could see that this could play out a variety of different ways, and you just have to kind of see what would happen one step at a time. So that makes sense. Let's see what the other guys think. Nighttime, top shelf. What do you think? Nighttime.
What do you guys remember the Covenant house? Not the house, but the Covenant, the settlement that's on the lake.
In Fallout 4?
You go into in Fallout 4 you go into their compound and they all look like vault security. They all have vault security equipment. I think somebody had brought up the fact that all the signs and stuff, they looked like they were from was it Vault 101. But as you guys were saying about food and stuff, it seems like they could have, if you wanted to, it's not set in stone with the lore, but maybe they did survive. Maybe they left after a year and they did survive and they found that cave, and that's where they've been living out for the past couple hundred years.
Could be. That they were like the seed of that community.
Yeah, Because I mean, they couldn't stay there. I mean, it was really out of the overseer's hands. I mean, obviously he didn't want to leave because he didn't want to die of radiation poisoning. But I mean, the only other, the only other option is sit there, either starve to death or cannibalize each other till you don't have anybody left. And
yeah, I feel like most people would make the decision to leave well before cannibalizing each other. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, they could have gotten quite a bit of supply runs and stuff from the Sanctuary Hills and stuff, but I mean, this stuff's only going to last so long. It's just easier to make your way out and try to make a new life.
Yeah, find a place that's not irradiated, a place where you could grow your own crops and survive on your own, for sure. What do you think, Top Shelf? Cryogenics?
Kind of what everybody was saying. The only thing that if again from just memory, was the security team didn't seem to care about the actual experiment. The whole reason for the revolt was, as you were saying, they were running out of supplies, and the overseer was just like, "Oh, we haven't got the all clear," and it's like, dude, it's been 3 times as long, because I think they were supposed to get the all clear after like 180 days or something like that. Not very long.
180-day mandatory shelter period. Yes.
Yeah, and they were supposed to get it after that. And I think they had been in there for like a couple years, or maybe just over a year. But it's like...
Yeah, it was about a year.
After a certain point, like, you're not getting that all clear.
Yeah,
and
right. Something's wrong. This is not going to work out.
I think just be like, it's just kind of, to me, stupid to sit here and go, no, we're just going to wait for this all clear. And it's like, it's not coming, dude. So just open up, because you're, as you were saying, you're either going to starve to death or you're going to have to kill each other to survive. You're just going to have to release your subjects because you need food. Like, that's just the way that it works. Or you need manpower. So you could have just opened it up, started looting, Sanctuary Hills. Is it Concord or Concordia? I can't remember which one. But go there, Concord. Loot that town. Yeah, Concord. Like, that had a ton of buildings. Start looting that. Lexington. I mean, there's city centers. There's a Super Duper Mart in Lexington.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, go there. You can survive off that. And then, if you really want to try this experiment, after 10 years or something like that, 5, 10... Right. Release all your subjects, and if there's any physiological changes, you can extrapolate that over. Okay, if it was 100 years, just times what their change is by 10.
Yeah,
it's possibly not impossible.
So here's the other thing, though. If Vault-Tec leadership is not in communication with you anymore, and you're technically working for them, how long do you stick to the plan in a post-apocalyptic setting? I mean, how long do you stick to it and go, yeah, they're probably still around, or do you, after a few years, do you go, we haven't heard from them in years. They're probably all dead. Screw the experiments, because there's nowhere for this data to go anyway. Like, we're just the ones collecting it. We're not doing anything with it. We're collecting it for the organization, but the organization doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. And that's why I said, if you really care about the experiment, then do it for a fraction of the time and then extrapolate, because after a while you're like, okay, you can't leave them there for 100 years because your human lifespan is not that long. You're all grown adults. There's no chance you're going to live to 118 or 125, even if you were a young adult. So you're eventually going to have to start bringing out your subjects and being like, hey, we need you to start repopulating. And yeah, I would have honestly lasted maybe a couple more months. Like, I would have been like, okay, it's been a year. Bye. We're done.
No, I totally agree.
6 months after the time you're supposed to call in, no, you're dead. I'm not listening.
Yeah.
So
we need to do something else. We need to start taking care of our population and people, because that's more important than following through with any experiment. Well, these very cool ideas, guys. I like having these episodes because you guys all share thoughts and things that I wouldn't necessarily have come up with. So, very cool stuff. I've got one to throw in here. We're getting to the end of the show. I just want to throw in an interesting idea. Think about this: Vault 112, the one with Tranquility Lane, Stanislaus Braun, is stuck in the virtual simulation with the other people, right? Except I'm not Stanislaus Braun. I'm not crazy. So what if I used that to create a wonderful environment for the other people and myself so we could live somewhere much happier and gave them the option of getting in and out of the simulation when they wanted to. They don't have to stay in it, but they can if they want. It would be like a vault with the best potential video game that you could ever play that is clearly set up. I mean, they didn't have, I mean, obviously they were probably being fed through tubes, but at least they had sustenance. They've got a robot staff to take care of you, right? And then if whenever you want, you just plug yourself into the simulation and just escape the terrible world. What do you think about that? Raising hands. Everybody's raising hands. I saw Top Shelf first.
Okay, so the first thing you do is execute Braun because screw that guy.
Well, I would be Braun. Like, I would be the leader of the vault, so Braun wouldn't be there.
I still say you find a way to bring him to the vault and kill him just because he's a terrible human being. Anyway, yeah, but no, I thought about that one too when coming up with ideas, and yeah, I thought that would have been really interesting to have. You could just teach people things. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the other cool thing is
it'd be the Matrix. You're just living in the Matrix. You could have, like, on Tuesdays, we all get better at jujitsu. On Wednesdays, we all learn foreign languages. On Thursdays, we practice musical instruments in a simulation where we can all learn faster than in reality. Awesome.
Well, I mean, literally just think about it. The DLC for Anchorage, they put you in one of those pods to go through it. You could... medical training. Yeah. Okay, you're going to, life-saving stuff, first aid. You could learn how to shoot weapons, and you don't actually have to have guns. Right. It's safe. Right. You could learn all sorts of stuff. It would be such a wonderful tool to, like, help these people. And then, you could have, like, I don't know, The Matrix playing. Right. You could have like, Saturdays and Sundays be like weekend party time and, like, whisk everyone away to some beach resort, or, to go skiing in the mountains, or all the things that they could no longer experience in the real world because the real world is irradiated and there's monsters everywhere, but you just kind of keep them in a safe place. Everybody lives these happy lives. Everybody becomes very, very capable because they can learn anything that they need to learn. I guess the only other potential issue is, like, actual real food, like finding and providing actual food. So then you have to open up the vault, or at least figure out a way to use your robots to gather things for you. But even then, you got robots. Nighttime?
You guys ever heard of the term frame jacking?
Frame jacking. Yeah. Yeah, kind of.
Something in the cyberpunk. So imagine you can dilate the perception of time to a human being in these machines. Yeah.
Right, yes. Okay.
So the person would experience 1,000 years. They're talking about doing this to prisoners now, by the way, making them feel like they've served 10 years and it would be an 8-hour sentence. They would, in real time, they would go in 8 hours and then they would experience 10 years of their life inside of this thing.
Can your brain process that, though?
That's what they're trying to figure out.
I don't think you can.
They're taking a serious look at this, which is so frightening.
I mean, it'd be cool to know, like, if you can. I'm not saying it's impossible. I don't know that. Like, I feel like that would be very stressful for you. Like, your brain isn't built to process time. Yeah, I mean, think about it. Like, in times where we are stressed and we're under stressed and we have to do things like twice as fast as we normally do. Right. You're in a job situation where you're just like, hurry up. There's only so long we can do that. And it's not because of physical exhaustion. It's because of mental exhaustion. It's the stress of having to do something and do it faster. Right. You multiply that by like 10 or 100. I don't think your brain can handle that.
Yeah. I mean, it would cause synapse collapse or other types of neurological conditions because you're aging. You're giving the brain age. It's not some type of organ that you can just, like, play with it. It's not a liver.
You're overclocking their brains. That's what you're doing.
Yeah, basically, and that's what happens to a CPU when you overclock it too much.
Well,
fries out.
You're gonna burn their brains out. Oh man, that seems crazy.
It's frightening. Your thing that you put out with the thing, it's probably the most inhuman experiment. I mean, it could have great benefits, don't get me wrong, but it's like there was a comic came out recently where it's like, oh, I traveled into the future and I'm going to experience the galaxy. And they're like, right this way to your pod. And he goes, you can experience the galaxy in your pod. And then they just drug you up and you're just like...
Yeah. Yeah, right.
So that's just my thoughts. But.
Okay. All right. Who else wants to chime in? Pie Man?
So, Vault 112. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Execute the leader deck.
Braun.
Vault.
Yeah, get rid of Braun because he's
craziest
psychopath.
person ever.
Right. Yeah, total psychopath.
Holy crap.
In my scenario, I'm the person that they give this vault to, so he's not there. He's somewhere else. It's not that he was among the people going into the vault. Like, they were like, I'm the guy who did all the scientific work that he did. I'm just not insane. So I'm Braun, I guess, in this scenario.
Explain that to everybody else, though, Tom. They're looking for you, Braun.
Yes, please.
They found you.
And Ange, everything's going very well. Thank you. I guess in that scenario, then I would have designed a lot of the vaults differently as well. But yeah, that has a lot of inherent problems in it.
The vault design is very weird.
Yeah.
The vault design is very weird, to be honest. I don't know why. I would also agree with Top Shelf and with your idea about not first with yours about not making it the most awfulest thing and most weirdest thing simulation ever.
Yeah. Don't torture everybody.
Oh no! Don't jerk everyone's chain. I mean, like, seriously, it was so weird. Make it like happy and make it so it's like an option that they can come out, you know?
Yeah. So that's
like,
what I'm saying.
If they need to use the bathroom, or if they just want to walk around.
Right. No, it becomes a tool, and everyone lives
vault.
in the vault normally, and then that becomes the tool, the chamber that they can go in if they'd like, or let's say we're all having like, hey guys, we're all gonna go hang out on a vacation and go down water slides. Let's go in our little pods and experience it in our heads, or let's learn how to surf, like.
I thought you were gonna say go. Let's all go to the bar and let's go get some drinks.
Yeah, you could do that too, and then you never actually have to get drunk because it's all in your head. Top Shelf, did you want to chime in?
You, for whatever reason, it just hit me. I'm like, so you're talking about Ready Player One.
Yeah, basically, this is now Ready Player One.
Hey, let's go to the bar. Even though we could in real life, we just choose to be in our avatars.
Right.
So that was all I was thinking. I was like, that's Ready Player One. I just made that connection. So that's all.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. Well, guys, it's time to wrap up the episode. Thank you for being here. Thank you also for supporting the show. I guess Lainey couldn't make it. She was wrapping up at work. Maybe things went a little bit long. But we both very, very much appreciate it. I'm excited to talk with you guys every month. And I especially, like that you guys are willing to help support this, because it helps me do this for a living and continue to make content. And that means a ton. So thank you for being here. Thank you to all of our patrons. Thank you to Robob, who's in chat, who isn't able to join us. Robob, I saw your message. You'd like to jump in, but the kids are still up. I totally get it. Hopefully you can join us next month. And then also all of our other patrons, and of course Pie Man for being our Liberty Prime, our giant robot of the group, and everyone else. I believe there's 50 of you now. There are 50 patrons, which is freaking amazing. So thank you to every single one of you who's helping us out, or helping me and Lainey be able to do this. You guys are the best. Let's wrap this up, guys. Let's go back through the list and share if there's anything you're working on, anything you want to share that you're doing, and ways people can get a hold of you. So let's start with Pie Man. Pie Man, you got anything going on? I know you're working on a D&D thing with your cousin.
I am. It's sort of like a homebrew sort of thing. It's taking forever, but
it's got a cool name. What is the name?
It's called The Rise of the Phantom Knights.
Sounds cool.
It's sort of like war. A lot of war, a lot of battles, a lot of because I like war, and I couldn't find a lot of campaigns with war.
Yeah,
and a lot of action,
sense.
where it's like military.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of the campaigns are built around groups going on adventures and exploring things and, fixing problems in a town where something goes amiss, but like having a big war campaign sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, so the party was we decided on hired mercenaries that were hired by that kingdom.
Very cool. Very cool.
Basically,
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
They're basically dropped in after being ambushed, and like originally 6 and then 3 die, or how many in the party,
Got it.
Pretty much, yeah.
Got it. When do you think you guys are going to have this wrapped up?
I don't know. We still got to do a lot of test runs.
Okay.
Which I would love for input, really.
Okay. Yeah, feel free to share some stuff.
For like D&D.
Yeah, share some stuff in the Discord, and anybody who plays Dungeons & Dragons, if you want to check out some of the stuff Pieman's doing. Go ahead and share some links to some of the stuff, and I'm sure people would check it out because people love Dungeons & Dragons. So that's awesome, dude. Should people just reach out to you on the Discord?
Yeah, I'm on Discord a lot.
Okay.
More than I probably should, to be honest.
Oh, that's fine.
When I'm traveling.
Yeah. And right now, you change your name a lot. Your name is Lord... What is it? I
changed it during the cast, but normally it's Lord Stefan Darkvane. It's my character name and the patron and the D&D patron. But I just recently changed it during this stream to my Xbox gamer tag.
Got it. Okay. Well, cool.
Which is Maverick 0012.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, or Pieman or Lord Darkvane. If you see any of those, they're all the same person. For anybody who doesn't know, the Dungeons same guy. The Dungeons and Dragons Lorecast show that I do, we have our tier 5 and higher patrons can join us once a month to play Dungeons and Dragons, and that's something that we just did last night, and then it goes up on the Patreon for everybody. So if you're into D&D, go check that out. It's cool stuff. All right, let's go to.
And I fell asleep again.
And you fell asleep again. You work hard. It's a long time being out on the road. Nighttime Smith, what do you got going on, buddy?
Not so much. I had a question. Hey, can we set up some type of Fallout 76 night, maybe once a month, or if people want to join in and get a party together?
Oh, totally.
I'd be down to do that.
What platform are you on? Because the one difficulty on this, your PC.
I know.
The one difficulty on this is that there are 3 different platforms and everybody gets split up. So, so if you want to take that on your shoulders and just kind of head that up for the PC group, feel free to do that. And this is something that we can talk about doing with the Discord, is that I've got so many things going on. I can't always head the stuff up. So I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled if you guys want to, in the name of the Robots Radio Discord, set up events and things, and I can join when I can, but if I can't, they can still go. They can still happen. Right. Yeah. So it works out. So if that's something you want to set up, just pick a night, shoot some messages out, see what people respond with, maybe Wednesday nights are great. Okay. And then just schedule it. And then I can put that on like the official calendar too. And then maybe people who are playing on Xbox or PlayStation are going to be like, oh, I want to do that on that night too. We'll just do it on our own platform or whatever, but yeah, feel free. That's an awesome idea. I'm glad that you brought that up because I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, if anybody want to hit me up about it and get something put together, I'm Nighttime Smith on Discord, and that's the best way to reach me. Yeah. Just tag me or DM me, because otherwise, if you don't tag me, I don't see it. Right.
So why don't you go ahead and in the Fallout 76 channel, just post something in there about like, hey PC players, I'd like to set up a regular night. What night is best for you guys? And give them some options. Like, just give them like, do you prefer this night or this night? That'll work. And then people can chime in, and then we'll go from there. Sounds awesome. That's a great question. So anything else you want to share?
No, that's it. Oh.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here. And then Top Shelf, thanks for joining us. You got anything cool going on?
Yeah, thanks for having me. The only cool thing that I've got going on is I'm currently trying to shed weight so I can actually finish up joining the National Guard. Hopefully I should be leaving sometime in the next 2 to 3 months. And in between my basic training and my job training, I'm supposed to have my second kid. So that's exciting. This is going to be a very busy year. But that's really the only cool thing I got, is that I'm, actually trying to join the military. Got something lined up, and very excited about it.
Well, congratulations. That's awesome. How old's your first kid?
He is 4. He is autistic, so that's got its own challenges.
Yeah,
but
I'm sure
he is almost 4, and we're very excited to have another little one running around.
Yeah, you're almost out of baby jail, and now you're going to be back in baby jail. So congratulations.
Yeah, and then I'll be gone for 7 months with the military, so I'll be in jail.
Oh God, good luck. Good luck to your wife. Pieman's raising his hand. Pieman.
Put my mic up. Well, anyway, if you need help, you know a guy. Me. I'm high functioning autistic.
Well, there you go.
Like legit.
Yeah. Well, maybe you can get some advice
diagnosed.
from Pieman about what works for him growing up and things like that. What to look for.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, my parents had a ton of fun with me.
I'm sure. Well,
so I just wanted to put that out there.
Well, thanks, Pieman. That's very nice of you to offer. I love this community. You guys are great. Honestly, thank you so much for being here. And Top Shelf, if people want to reach out to you, just the Discord. That's the best place to do it.
Discord, same thing as Nighttime. Please tag me or DM me, because I also drive for a living, not a truck, but I do drive for a living. I'm not constantly checking my phone.
Yeah.
And again, trying to lose the weight. I'm either driving, in the gym, or sleeping. So that's that. I also have a Twitter. It is at Gaming Selly. The G and the C are capitalized. It's brand new. Haven't posted anything. I don't usually post, but if you prefer to reach out on Twitter, go ahead and DM me there, and I'll try to get back to you, and I'll try to post some more stuff, because I figure, why not connect with people?
Why not? That's what this is all about. Yeah, and I love the idea of having a regular Fallout night. I've been playing a lot more 76 lately. I got my wife into it more, so she's been playing as well, and she loves Fallout. She just never really got into 76, and now she's been playing it like every night. She collects things and puts them in her pockies, as she says. I'm gonna put things in my pockies, and I'm like, cool. She's trying to get all the little bobbleheads right now, and all the little books and things. But yeah, and for sure, if you guys are playing games, please, I know not everybody responds. A lot of people are busy. We all have different schedules and things like that. But go ahead and just, the Discord is set up now so that people have different tags. So you could just tag Fallout or Fallout and PC or something like that. So if you're looking for other people who might want to join you in game, feel free to tag people, and we can continue to refine the roles in ways that make it easier for people to tag each other who are part of maybe, Fallout 76 PC could be its own tag or role, right? That way, hey, I'm going to be in the game tonight. Let me know if you want to join me. There you go. That kind of thing. So sounds cool. Well, thanks for joining me, everybody. This has been awesome. I'm going to head out, and I'm going to hit the sound buttons and skip them until we get to the end of the show. So thanks for being here, everyone. I will see you guys next week with a regular episode. And until then, stay safe and good luck running your own vaults in your own homes, whatever that means. See you later.
Bye.
To plug into everything else we're doing, check out robotsradio.net. Also, look up the Robots Radio YouTube for videos about Fallout and other things. And check us out on Twitter, twitter.com/robotsradio.
You've been listening to a Robots Radio podcast. Smart shows for interesting people. Check out all the shows at robotsradio.net.